Carlos Nelson with What's Up Kansas City, and today we're going to be talking about economics in the African American community. We have some special guests on. To my left, to your right, we have Ajamu Webster, we have Tenesha Coleman, and we have Ossco Bolton. And we want to talk about economics here in Kansas City for African American businesses. Ajamu, I'd like for you to lead off the discussion about how you feel the economic situation is here in Kansas City for small businesses, and particularly for small African American businesses.
Well, I don't think the situation in Kansas City is any different than what it is around the country. And I only can speak specifically about African American businesses, and that is this continual uphill climb against forces that have been set to marginalize and push our businesses to the periphery. And that's a direct function of us being in a captured market. The African American market is captured. There are other entities that are here, either corporate entities or other ethnic entities, that have taken over those products and services that we traditionally have provided for ourselves, and some that we would like to, but we're blocked out of. So I don't want people to get the impression that business is benign. You know, business is a type of economic warfare. But if we go in it from the standpoint of business is benign, it's nice, you can do what you want to do, just follow your dreams, you're really at the back end of the curve. The other thing too is that people think of business as an individual pursuit. It's not. Business is a team sport. It is an expression of a people's objectives and culture. So we've been sold on this concept as an individual businesswoman, individual businessman out there trying to make as much money as they can. And you're losing against others who are organized. And by the meaning of organized, I mean those who have identified a niche, who do collective buying, who organize their resources, who leverage the banking community, and then use their resources to make sure that their elected officials support their objectives. That's where we're losing out on the business front. And even if we did all those things, I don't want anyone to believe that there is not a history in America that has prevented us from moving forward that we would have to overcome. So it's more than a notion, but it certainly is not a plaything.
Tenesha, with you being having a small business, how do you feel the opportunities are available here for your business? The economic opportunities, the participation, and Mr. Webster, he spoke on a key point that it's a team sport. And I don't think, and when I say sport, I'm using sport as an analogy, that it's not an individual thing. And I don't think that the African American businessman, small business person, really understands that. What do you have to say about your business experience? And how long have you been in business? And tell our audience what the name of your business is.
Well, honestly, this is my first time hearing. And I really do appreciate that to look at this as a team sport, as you so called it, Carlos, because out here grinding, trying to be a entrepreneur, because everybody glamorizes, you want to be an entrepreneur, it sounds good, but when you do it as an individual type deal, it is harder. I'm wearing all 17 hats, and this hat was made for one. But if we did collectively come together and were able to utilize this as a team deal, then I can call on you when I need things, and you can call on me. And if you couldn't do it, you know somebody else in the community that can. And I never really thought about it like that. And I've been in business for a while. And granted, I've been struggling for the amount of time that I've been in business. It's just like, well, you know, you're a business owner, you're a small business owner, you just got to take the punches. You make it the first 3 years, then you can go the next 5. And why should I get beat up while trying to do what I'm good at? Yes, I'm passionate about it, but I'm also good at what I do, and I love what I do, and I want to share that. But why get beat when in essence, all I got to do is get on a team of like-minded folks that understand business, and we can help one another.
Well, I think you've known me for a minute. That's what I've been advocating, team, working together. As I have reiterated that in business and with your engineering firm, I would think your cost mainly is in HR. A lot when you have good people, you got to pay them, but we can overcome that by trading services, bartering. You do photography as you work with Cascade Media Group, and I might can do some things for you. Same thing with Mr. Webster. He's in engineering, but he want to get a video made. He wants to do this or do that. There was times when I owned a restaurant, pizzeria, and I was like, Ajamu, I need you to come and do the engineering. They won't let me put the thing, the fire when you over the grill.
Exhaust fan?
Yeah, the exhaust fan and everything. And he's, well, you got no money. I can't do that. Well, you know what? We can do some other things for your company, and we've got to learn to be able to do that, and that will help us cover some of the things that we would have to have liquid to do. And I don't think we've been really good at being a team-oriented community to work together. What are some of the stumbling blocks that you feel that you have from an economic standpoint in having a thriving business? You as a small business right here in Kansas City.
Lack of capital. I mean, everything requires money. And so I need money to market. I need money to advertise. You know, I need money to see projects from start to finish.
Ajamu, because you've been involved, and I don't know where the credit union is right now, because I think you know that is a major obstacle, and you've been trying not just to talk about it, you've been trying to put some things in place to deal with it. Where do you see that for small businesses, the economics opportunity to get the economics to run a business here?
You know, there is the issue of capital is a serious issue, but capital is more than just money. Okay, but capital can be intellectual. It can be relationships. So think about it like this: if I wanted to stop right now and move to North Korea and set up a business, it doesn't. I'd have come in with a lot of money, but if I didn't have the relationships, if I didn't know context, if I didn't know the politics, if I didn't know people, that money would be gone. Okay. So one way to think about it, that's the reason why we have such an advantage doing business in our community, because we have the social relationships that we can leverage for economic purposes. Going back to this question of capital, I mean, certainly you need to have some money to pay your people and get your goods and services, but a lot of that can be minimized by working collectively. So when you start talking about a question of a credit union, and we are just resubmitted our package for our business plan to the National Credit Union Administration, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll have a charter. We already have a location and other things set up. When we start talking about a credit union, all you're really talking about is having a large group of people take a small amount of money and put it together that can be relent to a number of people who can then leverage that money for business and homes and that sort of thing. So it's collective work and responsibility. Basically, that's all it is. So from the standpoint of capital, let's just kind of dispel this. You're not going to be able to walk into a bank and say, I want to start a business and I need $1 million. Because you can do it, but when you walk out of there, you won't have a smile on your face. It's just not the way it works. Most people are not going into business that way. What prevents us from being able to do what other people have done is essentially what has happened to us from the standpoint of redlining and racial discrimination, to where the house that my father owned won't be worth as much as if he had gotten a house, if he could get a GI Bill of gotten a house in another part of town, to where now he's got a $300,000 house as opposed to a $50,000 house. If I go to him and say I need $200,000 to start a business, he doesn't have it. Whereas if there was a parity in terms of the issues of lending and redlining and discrimination, we would have the kind of wealth in our community where we can leverage a house, or leverage some land in order to go into business. That's what happens. And so going back to the question of capital, capital is social relationships, but it's also, again, the impediment that we have is we've been held back from capital accumulation that we could have used now to go into business and other things.
All right, bringing, you brought up redlining and that situation. Now I'm going to hand it over to my guests because Ossco, with this violence that is going on in Kansas City, and as I called Ossco and he was graciously came. Yeah, I know you laughing, but I called you the last minute. I think I called you at 12 o'clock, and I said I had a conversation, and they were saying you need to talk about this violence and how it's tied to economics in our community. And so I was like, Ossco, I have Ajamu coming over, and I have Ms. Thompson coming over. Could you sit on the panel? And at 3 o'clock, he said, all right, Nelson, I'll be there. And I feel a lot of our violence in our community is really at the systemic cause of, I would say 75% is economics. And it's like, you and your wife could be arguing over the salt shaker, but it's really not the salt shaker. It's that you haven't been bringing in income or whatever, and it spills over. And in our community is so much tension and so much lack of resources. It really doesn't take much to get frustrated and do something that you regret. And that's happening to me over and over. So, what's your take on this? The ball is in your court. This is something, as you said off camera, you got a lot of experience. And tell our audience a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, it really does attach to what Brother Ajamu was saying, but in the sense of what he said, capitalism is all over the whole cap of it, not just the financial part of it, because you still got to look at education. You got to look at, if you have a people and you give them $1 million, how long will they keep it? Most of the former sports players, a lot of them, they retire broke. How many people win the lottery and then 10 years later they don't have anything? So you have to be able to give that type of finance and that type of capitalism to people who have the mindset to deal with it. I was taught by people who have money, even some of, a couple of Asian friends, they said they never spend their own money. We tend to start companies with our capital, and then when it fails, we don't have anything left. But what they say is we don't spend our own money. But we have something to back it though. And I think that's the difference. If you have something to back it, then you can come in, because when you put together a business plan, you want 3 years worth of money for your own to take care of, to pay yourself. What is the other pieces? But what I'm going to is this. We are a people in darkness. And Ajamu, and what he's talking about is how do we enlighten us? When you're in darkness, everything becomes major. I didn't know I was poor. When LA came in, I didn't know, I thought I was doing good with $20 Pro Wing Eagles. But when they came in, they made me look at the Nikes. They made me want the rims and the car, the hops. But before then, I was fine with tough skins on, $20 Pro Wing. We played kickball, we climbed trees. We didn't look for no finances. We didn't even get involved with the gangs because of money. We got involved with the gangs because they gave us a sense of brotherly love. It was a false sense of love, but it still was something I long for. So that's where it starts.
With the violence in Kansas City, you don't think that has anything to do with economics?
Not the whole thing.
No, I don't say the whole thing.
A part of it, but it's not the biggest piece. Violence is not because of no money. If I kill you for $5, do you think that's because of the money or because of my ignorance?
Well, I think I had conversation off camera about one of the engineers that's here. They're off camera right now, and he has two of his sons shooting on multiple cameras what we're doing right now. And I said the moment I met his son Jordan, I knew from his conversation, when he opened his mouth, he was brought up a certain way. And he was brought up that way because his dad had the financial wherewithal to put him in the right schools, to put him in the right environment. And I don't feel he feels threatened, or his kids feel threatened, or need to have that pressure on them that anything can set them off. And I think that from the mental health standpoint and the financial thing, our community, especially our youth, by me being in media and seeing how advertisement buy Nike, buy a Cadillac. One thing I'm really sharp on you, Ajamu, with your large company and you pulling in a few dollars, I can't count your money. You drive a little small car because you understand wealth is not in buying a Mercedes. And you understand that the media is saying, buy this, buy that. When I did reparations with Mickey Dean the other day, and he was saying a lot of people think they're going to get a check. But if they gave African Americans every one $1,000 in 2 days, that money would be out of our community.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But see, you just told on yourself when you use our brother with his sons as a prime example.
What?
Not only did he have the money to do that, that wasn't about the money. He had the mindset. Because a lot of brothers in Kansas City made a lot of money selling crack cocaine. They didn't do anything different. They didn't try to go to prestige. They didn't send their children to prestigious schools. So it starts with the mind.
Well,
I'm saying if your mindset is not right, I can give 4,000 fools a job and they won't have them until the first paycheck.
Well, what I'm saying to you, it's not so much that you're talking only a small segment. What I will say, because I'm 68 and have seen the progress from the civil rights movement from when African Americans first was let into corporate America, per se. And the neighborhood even that I moved in when I came here in 78, Sheridan Estates, where you had your first all black neighborhoods, where you had the doctors, your lawyers, and even back then, teachers were on the same par as a doctor in our community. The garbage man was even respected in our community. And it's a mindset, but you get a lot of that when you have wealth and you're with a different social class, even, which brings a different set of morals, a different set of behavior. When you first started your business, Ajamu, who was you able to do business with, per se, versus where you're at now, and what did you learn in doing business?
I'm going to spin this if you don't mind.
All right.
Okay. And here's the thing, and that is this, that Dr. Bobby Wright made a statement. He said, if you don't know your culture, then you don't know how to act. And in a sense, where we find ourselves in a situation where we have been taught to hate ourselves. So if I've been taught to hate myself, then I can't love this sister. That's just the way it is. And our being taught to hate ourselves is economically functional for the survival of the American economy and American ecosystem. We got to be first of all, we got to be clear about what that is. And to a degree, it doesn't matter which school we go to. Every school, and to give you an example, during the colonial period, if I wanted to have you be my agent, I would pick you out of the group and I'd send you back to Europe or whatever, where you can be educated, where you would learn my values, you would learn my culture, and you would learn to hate your own values and culture. Then put you back into the environment with your own people, and you couldn't help them. No matter what you wanted, you could not help them. Because you don't understand that you have been turned into a mindset of all you can do is help everybody else. So let me give you another example. We can take all of the folks we have with PhDs and master's degrees in business administration and put them in our community, and they cannot help our community because they have not been socialized culturally to make that a priority. So they've let us into corporate America, and what have we done? We help corporate America make more money for those who are shareholders in corporate America. It did not translate to building up our community, and it never happens like that for any people who are colonized anywhere in the world. The only difference in America, we don't know we colonized. We desire to go to what we call institutions of higher education, which are just institutions of higher colonization.
That's all it is.
That. And when we get there, we can't help anybody. And then we turn around and see other brothers and sisters who don't even go to that, and we look down on them. At least from a mindset, they haven't been taught to just serve everybody else other than themselves. So going back to what the point that Brother Ossco made, it's clearly this. The first thing we got to do is get control of our culture and minds of our folk. We got to let them know who they are. Because it doesn't matter if you flat broke. If you know as an African person that you are in charge of your own destiny, that you're not to hate yourself, then I can't hate you. It's just impossible. It can't happen. And once we make that our objective, then from that culture will flow our economics. The culture drives your economics. The reason why we have a economy in our community that doesn't work for us, because we got a culture that says we got to go make everybody else rich. So I go to school to do what? Get a job, to do what? Make somebody else rich. All right, that's what I go to school for. And if you're not in school, I'm on you, because you ought to be in school so you can get an education so you can make them rich too. Now, who teaches that our objective that we have to deal with our own shelter, safety, food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security? Who teaches us that is our primary objective? Because if that is my primary objective, everything I do will spin from how do I provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for our community. Colonized people are taught to think that way, and we're the most colonized people in the world. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised in 2019, after watching everybody leapfrog over us and gain all kind of political, economic advantages, I'm not surprised that we are in a condition where we're so frustrated that we're turning on ourselves, because it's absolutely necessary that we do that if the current economic structure is going to remain in place. It's not our fault. It's not our fault.
Well, and you know what, Ajamu, you and myself are definitely on the same page and see what the situation is. When it resonates with me when you say it's not our fault.
It's not.
And a lot of us will say, well, it's his fault that he didn't go to school. It's his fault. No, we're in a system that is a vicious system that most of us don't even understand what education is about. It's educating you to follow what they want you to do. And when you don't do it, it's like I put it all like The Matrix. Most people have seen the movie The Matrix. For individuals, they have those agents when you step out of line. For countries, they have our massive military that you don't do what we want, bam, you're out of power. And so we have been taught to distrust one another. We have been taught to hate ourselves, not just, we look in the mirror and sometimes you can lie and say you don't. People like, man, being black is tough. I wish I could be Chinese or anything but being black. And that doesn't come naturally.
No, it's a learned behavior.
And with us, Cascade being in the media, we really understand that we have been programmed as African Americans since we came out of our mother's wombs. But it was one time where it was about color, race, and all of that. But we're in the 21st century, and now, from my perspective, it's that 1% or 10%. It's about the haves and the have-nots. And they've even tricked the majority community to vote against their own interests by laying certain things out. And it's really about the haves and the have-nots. And most of these people that are running things, they know the history of economics. They know the history of marketing. And not only do they know it, they're using it. And we're still in the same situation.
And the regime above them know who we are.
Who do you think that is?
You know, well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, the regime above them, they know who we are. The people who control the president know who we are.
Well, that's corporate America.
And so what we're talking about, well, it's bigger than that. But anyway, well, that's another topic.
All right.
Put that out there being filmed. But anyway, the point of it, what I'm saying is, we've been taught, just like he said, an African descendant will go to school for 12 years, get the highest degree to do what? Become an employee. If that ain't the saddest thing in the world ever, and then we celebrate it though. We've celebrated that you've gotten out of it. We've celebrated that you went and got the highest elite degree that you can get, but you became an employee and you walk around like this and you work for the person that hired you don't even have the degree that you have. Come on, man. And how many PhDs that look like us and they don't even have a company? They haven't built a school for their own communities. It tells you exactly right there. We've been set up in the sense that I don't love you and it's easier to kill you because look at how we was raised. Superman white, Wonder Woman white, Spider-Man white, Batman white. the most powerful people on TV when we were coming up, the Italians and the police departments and the FBI, all those people were not associated with us. But when you try to find one natural African descendant hero, find one. Find one. They just came up with your boy, but guess what? They let you know that if it wasn't for the meteor and him drinking that little juice from the tree.
Who's that?
That's the Black Panther.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
But the minute he loses that, he's just a regular brother. Then they brought in the Black Green Lantern before him, but once you take his ring, he's just a brother. But Superman is all natural. Wonder Woman is all natural.
Didn't look at it like that.
So we have to talk about that. Then you got raised with the one who represents God, which is known as Jesus to most of us. Look, and what we've been sold there. So how can we see ourselves as somebody of importance or somebody special? So we just become the N-word, and it's easier to kill you N-word versus than to hurt them. See, the white boy hit me, I'm ready to beat him up. You hit me, I'm gonna kill that N-word. And that's how we've been programmed. So until you deprogram and take the virus off the computer, and then I can sell you $1 million program. If you got a virus on there, it won't matter. It will not matter. And then until you remove the virus, we got that thing called that N-itis that's in here. Until you remove that and let me see myself as a man, and that I'm part of this earth, and that part of this was made for me too. You're not going to make me see anything different. And that's why we naturally as men, we will defend her. I don't even have to know her. But if you put your hands on her, I'm jumping in because I'm back to who I am. But when you in that inward stage, shoot, I don't know her. It ain't my mama, ain't my sister. And this is the mentality that we coming up with. So give me all the money you want to give me. All that dope money came to Kansas City. We didn't build no houses. We didn't start no companies. We could have built banks off some of the money some of these brothers seen. And I watched brothers count $250,000 every Saturday. And I was only 16. They paid us $1,000 a week just to stand on the corner. Because it wasn't none of that, call in. It was do a signal, police coming. $1,000 a week, and several of us got that type of money. We didn't build anything in our community. And they knew when to put the money, when to allow the dope to come in. Because they knew we was too ignorant. We wasn't going to build anything. We could have built an empire with the type of money that crack cocaine made.
Well, what do we do now? And what,
just said it.
All right, and where I'm at from a media standpoint, this is why I'm trying to have this program to try to enlighten and inform more African Americans to some programming that speaking to our issues and not just the problem. My solution is, and some people says this, well, it's because it's Cascade. We don't have a digital footprint. Cascade Media Group, What's Up Kansas City, has a digital footprint. I always say for the Kansas Cityans that have been here 30 years ago, the Kansas City call, 95 to 98% of every African American had that call on Friday. And that kept you informed on what was going on in your community on several different fronts. It was good for the ministers, it was good for the politicians, it was good for the businessmen, because we had X amount of circulation. Now you can't wait a week to get information. And we have a digital footprint, but it's totally, grossly underutilized. And before you can straighten anything out in your community, you've got to be able to communicate with them.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.